last video, I talked about Noah and how the flood was the first or one of the first baptisms in the Bible, or an allegorical reflection of baptism, and how the righteousness was saved and the world was baptized in the floodwaters, and all unrighteousness and wickedness was drowned and washed away, while the righteousness remained and came out eventually on dry land. The second, or another reflection of the baptism that John the Baptist was doing, and that Jesus talked about, that we practice today, was when the Israelites were delivered from Egypt, from slavery. They had been in slavery for about 400 years to the Egyptians. After Joseph moved to Egypt, was taken to Egypt in slavery, and then rose to power when, first Potiphar put him in power, and then he was wrongly accused and he was put in prison, and then he interpreted a dream for the Pharaoh, and the Pharaoh put him in charge, second in command of all of Egypt. And during all of that, a famine happened, and his family moved there. Joseph's family moved to Egypt, and they were all saved. But within the course of 400 years, their family multiplied, became a nation, and a different Pharaoh put the Israelites, or Joseph's family, in slavery. So it would be Jacob's sons. Jacob, and then Joseph was one of his sons. So anyway, when the Israelites were delivered, Moses came on the scene, and he told Pharaoh to let his people go, and eventually, after some very devastating plagues, Pharaoh did let them go. Then he changed his mind. He decided not to let them go after they had left, and went to get them, took his chariots, warriors, and he was going to go get them back. Well, God parted the Red Sea, and they started walking through the Red Sea, the Israelites, on dry land. Now, they got to the other side. The Egyptians started coming after them through the sea, the Red Sea, and God allowed the waters to come back together, and it drowned the Egyptians. So in this we see that all of the oppression and all of the bondage that the Israelites had been experiencing was drowned in a form of baptism. They passed through the waters, the Israelites passed through the waters, came out on the other side, and all of the baggage and bondage that they had been dealing with and carrying with them was drowned. And so this is such a cool reflection, and such a cool, not just a story, but, it's very meaningful that God began the work of baptism even back in the Old Testament with the Israelites before they were even considered a nation. God promised Abraham that his descendants would become a nation, and he had two sons. One was Isaac, one was Ishmael. Ishmael was born first by his slave woman, and the other was born by his wife in their old age. And from his descendants, from his son Isaac, a great nation was born. When Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and then Jacob had 12 sons, and those 12 sons became the 12 tribes of Israel. Now, it's amazing to me that the way that God keeps his promises, not that he keeps them, but that the ways in which he keeps his promises. Sometimes it takes so long for his promises to come to fruition. But if we continue to have faith in his promises are yes and amen. He's not a man that he should lie. He does what he says he will do. So, quick recap. The Israelites going through the Red Sea and their deliverance from Egyptian slavery was a form of baptism.